Alright, so we have Grant Dawson versus Ricky Glenn. So Grant Dawson, he comes in with forward pressure. I think his striking is really bad, honestly. It needs a lot of work. He's a very awkward striker. He's off balance quite frequently. His head doesn't move a whole lot. His chin doesn't look great. He does close distance recklessly when he is on the front foot, and when he's on the back foot, he'll back up in a straight line onto the fence. But luckily that's not what he has to rely on for the most part. It's more of his wrestling, which we'll get into in a sec. Ricky Glenn, he's a southpaw. He likes the body kick and the high kick, or the body kick to a 2, coming from the same side, both coming from the left hand side. Probably isn't the move here, the body kick against like an aggressive wrestler in Grant Dawson. Probably just keep it boxing or keep it high kicks. So yeah, the straight left, the high kick's probably the move here instead of the body kick. As I alluded to before, Grant Dawson, usually relying on his wrestling for the most part. He lacks the single leg for sure. That's the takedown he goes for predominantly. Yeah, shoots a single leg in the open. If it's like in the open, he's probably going to be shooting for the single leg. If it's on the fence, he might be going for a double leg there. But in the open, it's more shooting for the singles, and then near the fence, he'll crash his way into the clinch. And then work his way down for a single leg as well. He definitely likes the single leg. Single leg, runs the pipe, lifts the leg up, tries to trip the opponent's post leg, stuff like that. He does, in the open, like say, nowhere near the fence, if it's just in the middle of the octagon, he does stick his neck out when he is shooting for the single leg, and sometimes he won't set it up, so, you do have to watch out for that. I thought that was going to be a problem against Diego Ferreira, who has a very nice guillotine, and very good scrambles when defending takedowns, but probably not so much in this fight. Rick Glenn doesn't have the best takedown defense. He is active off bottom, so he'll probably be a little bit annoying, to control from top position if you're Grant Dawson, but, Grant Dawson, he's got decent top control. He's pretty loose in the opponent's guard because he's always like trying to posture up and go for ground and pound, but if he passes to mount, he's pretty heavy, and he's got pretty decent, control in mount. So, how these guys win fights? Both these guys can push a crazy pace. I'd say Rick Glenn is more durable. He's just like a zombie. Like, you just keep hitting him with whatever, and he'll keep coming forward. He doesn't stop coming forward, and he just throws constant volume. Wherever the fight is, even if he's in bottom position, he'll just, start throwing elbows. He's just constantly being active. He's got great cardio. Both these guys have great cardio. How these guys lose fights? So for Glenn, he's hittable. As I said, you hit him with everything. He'll keep going forward though, but he is hittable, and one day that chin will crack, and maybe we saw it in his last fight. Not his last fight, but the fight before that, where Aguilar hurt him pretty badly. Yeah, so, he's not facing a power punch or anything in Grant Dawson, but it's just something to watch out for the future. And Rick Glenn's usually given up the speed advantage. Again, not something that's super pertinent here, but it's just something for the future. For Grant Dawson, I think it's the grappling tendencies. Then we didn't really get into it, but he does do a few things BJJ-wise that could get him in trouble with, submission attempts and stuff like that. We'll get into it in a bit in a sec, but yeah. Also, I think he has a suspect chin. I don't really like the reactions I see from him when he does get hit. When he gets hit clean. He seems to freeze up a little bit, telegraph his takedowns a lot. Also, yeah, chin just seems a little weak, honestly. Path to victory. So for Grant Dawson, I think it's the usual game plan of the volume takedowns. For Rick Glenn, look for the straight left when he's telegraphing a leg kick. If he goes for like outside leg kicks or inside leg kicks or whatever, since it's southpaw versus orthodox, he does telegraph them, plus he has his hands low when he is throwing kicks, so if he throws any kicks, just try and counter it with a straight left. Look to be active off bottom, but ultimately get back to your feet. And if you're down 2-0, like, obviously this is not like a path to victory that you want to be discussing with your coach, but, for a contingency plan, like, you gotta, be ready for anything. If you are down 2-0, just look for submission attempts off bottom. He will place his hands and his elbows on the mat quite frequently. So if you can look for arm bars, potentially even like an arm and guillotine, just make something happen, just look for sub attempts off bottom. He is quite vulnerable when he's in top position. He does do a lot of things BJJ wise that I think can get him in trouble. Absolutely. So how I see this fight going? So Glenn didn't really give us too much in his return to the octagon, and that was after like 4 years off or something like that. So yeah, the fight, his last fight against Joaquim Silva, can't really take too much away from it, really, because he just caught the guy. He caught him cold. Not too much you could take from it. I don't think it's going to be some huge power puncher at 155. I just think Joaquim's chin is a bit sus, and he caught him cold. On the feet, Glenn is the better striker. He's no Anderson Silva, but he's definitely much better than Grant Dawson in the stand-up. He's also much more durable, and which is rare, but he'll be able to match the pace of Grant Dawson, which is a rarity for Grant Dawson, I believe. Also, Rick Glenn, he did beat Dennis Bermudez. Controversial whether he won or not, but I actually bet him in that fight, but I still didn't think he won the fight, but he was like $4 or something, same as here. But he beat Dennis Bermudez, who I think is a much better wrestler and a much better striker than Grant Dawson. Even though Grant Dawson, his wins don't necessarily come from like skills and being super high level. It's more of the pace, and it's more of the grit that he has. So I'm pretty meh on him skill wise, but he can push a pace. He is very, he's pushes a solid pace, and I'm just not super high on him like skills wise, and I think he's gonna have trouble like working his way up the ranks. I don't think he's like the next big thing or anything like that. Because I just haven't really been impressed with any of these performances. Like Arosa wasn't great. Trezano was dealing with him in the stand-up, and Minna, he was in trouble early in that fight, and then Minna gassed as he always does. And Nadno Money, that was not an inspiring performance. And then Leonardo Santos, I had him down 2-0. No, I didn't actually. I had him 1 round. I had it 1 round apiece, and I thought he was going to win a 29-28. Which is not really that impressive against Leonardo Santos, who has 1 round of cardio, and then he won round 1, which is what I was expecting from Leonardo. I was expecting him to be much better skills-wise, and then basically Leonardo just ran out of gas, and then Grant Dawson took over, but he didn't really take over. He just kind of... It just wasn't an impressive performance. I'm not impressed too much by his performances, honestly. Anyway, like, Glenn's takedown defense is shoddy enough that Grant Dawson will probably just like 30-27 him here, but with the volume takedowns, he's probably just going to 30-27 him, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I think Glenn's just going to be a handful for like 15 minutes, just being annoying, and like it's going to be like, it's going to be semi-competitive. I think he's going to be very active off bottom. He's going to be throwing volume on the feet. I think he's going to be, giving Grant a fair amount of problems and a lot to think about, honestly, and I don't think it's going to be an easy night for Grant Dawson, such as the line indicates. But yeah, we'll have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so if you guys could like the video, that would be awesome. Really helps out with the channel. I've been a bit lackluster lately, but I'm gonna, go back to normal after this card now. So back to normal now. And yeah, so it really helps out the channel. I think I've lost a lot of the algorithm favoritism, I guess you want to call it, because I've just been not posting for a long time, so I've lost all that momentum I built. So I'm looking to get that back, and then get back into the good graces of the algorithm, and I can work from there. So prediction is Grant Dawson by decision. What's Grant Dawson by decision? I mean, that's what I'll play. Glenn's durable. He's pretty hard to submit. But yeah, it's definitely what I'd play preferably over the money line. I think Glenn is what I'd bet at the moment. I think $4 a little bit wide, honestly. It's a little bit too wide. Yeah, I think he's just going to be annoying for 15 minutes, and I think he's probably going to put up an honest fight, and he's not going to just like quit or anything. So I think it's going to be a Grant Dawson 30-27, but I want to bet the money line of Glenn and then maybe Dawson decision.